Division 35. Revoking registration. 35.1. Simplified outline. The following is a simplified outline of this division. The Commissioner may revoke an entity's registration under this Act if the Commissioner reasonably believes that any of certain conditions exist. These conditions include the following. A. The entity not being entitled to registration. B. The entity contravening this Act or not complying with a governance standard or external conduct standard. C. The entity providing information that was false or misleading in a material particular in its application for registration. D. The entity requesting that the Commissioner revoke the registration. The Commissioner must consider a range of factors before revoking a registered entity's registration under this Act. If the Commissioner believes, on reasonable grounds, that a registered entity is not entitled to be registered, the Commissioner may give a show cause notice to the entity. 35.5. Application of this division to various kinds of registration. 1. This division applies separately in relation to each of the following kinds of registration. A. Registration as a type of entity. B. Registration as a subtype of entity. 2. However, the Commissioner must revoke a registered entity's registration as a subtype of entity if the Commissioner revokes the entity's registration as the type of entity that corresponds to that subtype, as set out in the table in subsection 25.2.5.5. 35.10. Revoking registration. 1. The Commissioner may revoke the registration of a registered entity if the Commissioner reasonably believes that any of the following conditions are met. A. At any time after the date of effect of the registration, the entity is or was not entitled to registration. B. The registered entity provided, in connection with its application for registration, information that was false or misleading in a material particular. C. At any time after the date of effect of the registration. 1. The registered entity has contravened a provision of this Act, or it is more likely than not that the registered entity will contravene a provision of this Act, or 2. The registered entity has not complied with a governance standard or external conduct standard, or it is more likely than not that the registered entity will not comply with such a standard. D. The registered entity has 1. A trustee in bankruptcy, or 2. A liquidator, or 3. A person appointed or authorized under an Australian law to manage the affairs of the entity because it is unable to pay all its debts as and when they become due and payable. E. The registered entity has made a request to the Commissioner in approved form that the Commissioner revoke the registration.